I mean,
for all you kids out there who can't hit the broadside of a net with a football once or twice, or let's try it again, Trevor. Let's see, Trevor. For all you kids out there who have that kind of accuracy, there's hope. You can still become Trevor Lawrence, because that was Trevor Lawrence in 2015, missing every on track to become the number 1 overall pick in the draft. He had his shoulder surgery on Tuesday, the left shoulder, and it was a success. And he's already ahead of schedule. And unless he isn't, who knows? But he's still going to be the first overall pick. The only question in my mind, Peter, is it going to be the Jaguars who take him, or is somebody going to make the Jaguars an offer they can't refuse to go up and get Trevor Lawrence? And we were spitballing about this yesterday. Wouldn't it be something if David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers package the 8th overall pick and throw in a bunch more stuff to go up and get Trevor Lawrence and keep him in the Carolinas?
Yeah, I don't see how it's possible unless, the only way this is possible is, let's just say that deep down, Trent Baalke and Urban Meyer and the Brain Trust get to a point, let's just say a month from now, where they feel, Mike, what happens now is, I was listening to a podcast with Todd McShay and Mel Kiper and Field Yates yesterday. It was really informative about the quarterback position. It was saying where everybody is right now. And Todd McShay has Justin Fields 4th in that group of the 4 guys, of the top 4 guys. And so imagine if Urban Meyer, as the draft begins to shake out, if there is legitimate thought that Justin Fields is going to drop maybe into the middle of the round. And again, we don't know. You don't know on February 17th what it's going to be like 2 months from now. You just simply don't know. But suppose you think that. And then Carolina's going to offer you 5 ones for the pick. And maybe throw in Bridgewater as your bridge guy. So maybe if you're Jacksonville, you consider that. But the only way you consider it is if you like one of the lesser quarterbacks 97% as much as you like Trevor Lawrence. Otherwise, do not overthink this. Just tell all the people who call, I can't hear you, and step up and take Trevor Lawrence.
But the other side of that argument is, and it depends upon how much you're offered. I made this case last year when the Dolphins seemed hell-bent on trying to get Joe Burrow from 5 to 1. And in hindsight, you know what the Bengals should have done? The Bengals should have taken the offer and drafted Justin Herbert at number 5. As much as I love Joe Burrow, the gap between the two isn't enough that I'd say, okay, I still get a franchise quarterback who, by the way, emerged from the season healthy. Not that it was Joe Burrow's fault, but I got all this other stuff too. You're giving up one guy in exchange for X number of guys and X number of lottery tickets.
It's easy to say that now. It's easy to say that now.
But I know it is, but it proves the point. It proves the point. If you trade one lottery ticket that you think is a sure thing, you're not sure, you think it is, after all the surgery was a success, for a bunch of other lottery tickets, maybe you collectively win more on the other lottery tickets than you do on the one that you think is a sure thing. That's why I say you don't slam the phone down. You at least listen, because there may be an offer you can't refuse, and you need to be smart enough to not refuse it.
I think the one difference between this year and last year is that, and look, Mike, we don't know this right now because it's so early, but the impression that I get, very preliminary, spitballing, talking to a few people around the league, and I'm Trevor Lawrence is here. The other 3 guys are here, here, and here in some order. That's the impression you get. Last year, you really got the impression that Burrow was here, but that the other 2 guys were close. And some teams might like Tua better than Burrow. Some teams might like Justin Herbert better than Tua, let's just say. But it's hard for me to imagine this year. I would also just say, look at this, Mike. it's 2021 right now. Think about 2031 and think about where you will be as a franchise if you have the absolute total number one slam dunk best quarterback in this draft and you're 10 years down the road. Just think for a minute. If instead of having Justin Herbert, who is on some other team, Denver, Carolina, the Jets, if you took, let's say, Trey Lance, and now you've moved on from Trey Lance because he was good, but he wasn't great. Or maybe one of them turns out to be Trubisky. I don't know. That's why at the quarterback position, you don't mess around. If you have the chance to take the great guy, the unquestioned guy, you can't find those guys. You got to take them.
And look, this is why the draft is such a complete and total crapshoot. Let's just go back 9 years. It was Andrew Luck as the top guy, Robert Griffin III not far behind. Tony Dungy argued at the time he'd have taken Griffin over Luck. They went 1 and 2. And those were the two, and everyone else was a project or who knows, or a Ryan Tannehill. Are you kidding me? He's a converted receiver. And now look at where we are. Luck retired. And you can never factor in when a guy's going to decide he just doesn't want to play anymore, but it happened. Luck's gone. RG3's a backup who currently doesn't have a team. Tannehill, holy crap, he's making more money over the first 4 years of his current contract than Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson, who? He went to 2 straight Super Bowls, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And then you got another guy who's a Super Bowl MVP. Isn't it amazing? The 2012 draft yielded a Super Bowl MVP, and it wasn't Andrew Luck, and it wasn't RG3, and it wasn't Russell Wilson. It was Nick freaking Foles. So, and back to my point, and all Kirk, thanks, Pete. Kirk Cousins also was drafted that year, but which isn't something to gloss over, by the way. My point is, if you can take that one and you can parlay it into, I don't know how many. Not that it worked for the Rams. That's the other side of it, too. And I think this is one of the reasons why the Rams are so gun-shy about using first-round picks now. Remember Les Snead's quote to you, dominate with Washington's picks? They didn't. They got 3 1s and a 2 for the RG3 pick, and it blew up in their face. Just the whole thing, for all the money, all the time, all the obsession. And I guarantee you on draft night, Peter, on NFL Network and ESPN, every guy taken in round 1, we're going to hear how great he is, and they're never going to say, there's a chance this guy's really going to suck. But the reality is, half of them are really going to suck. It's all one big mess. We just don't know. And we may as well plant that flag now, folks, before you get all juiced up about the draft. We don't know, and we won't know until 10 years from now.
Here's the other interesting part of it, Mike, that always fascinates me. Like this year especially versus other years, and that is the competition a guy has faced in college, factoring that into what you're going to do in the draft. And so a lot of people, like Todd McShay on this podcast, he really likes Trey Lance. Now, here's the interesting thing. Trey Lance plays at whatever it's called, 1AA I call it, because that's what it was called forever. He played at 1AA where Carson Wentz played, but this year he played 2 games? 1 or 2 games, all right? And then last year, obviously he had a really good year. He didn't turn the ball over. It was a ridiculous year. But do you really have as much in him as you want to see, or do you have to do with Trey Lance what Bill Walsh once did with Charles Haley? Now you were in short pants at this time, Mike, sort of. But remember when Charles Haley in the 3rd round out of James Madison, whatever year it was, 85 maybe, I forget. But he took Charles Haley, and somebody said to him, how can you take a guy who didn't have a great college career, who played at James Madison, and, why are you taking him? And he goes, because I've seen him do what great players in the NFL do. I've seen him do it a few times in college. And if I've seen him do it a few times, now it's our job to coach him to do it every time. And they ended up coaching him well enough so that he became a Hall of Famer. It's the same thing with Trey Lance. But now with Trey Lance, you don't even have a last season to really consider. You've got the level of comp thing and you have this. So that is what makes it, I'm just saying, Mike, that's one of the reasons why if I've got the first pick in the draft, I'm going, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No, leave me alone. We're taking Trevor Lawrence. And so that's why I think this year is even more difficult to envision a trade for Lawrence.
Yeah, I still think you have to listen because, again, someone may make you an offer you can't refuse, and you have to be smart enough to not refuse it if it comes along. By the way, 1AA is now FCS, or as I call it, one vowel away from being a filthy word.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.